What's up, everybody? Justin Dalton here, one of your co-hosts on the Casting Hour, giving you guys my first solo video of 2014. Obviously, I'm not at Nathan's house. I'm back in Brenham for my spring semester here at Blinn. I am here to give you guys the review for one of my Christmas presents this year, Ryse, Son of Rome. Got a little bit of a glare. Day 1 edition. There we go. There we go. Overall, before we get started, I want to give you guys kind of the rundown of how we're going to do reviews on the channel. We're going to run the traditional 20-point scale. Obviously, it's 1 to 10, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, with 10 points being within each point. So it could be 1.5, 2.5, stuff around there. The points that I'm going to go on are visuals, gameplay, story, and replay value. For the purpose of this review, I'm not going to include the multiplayer, as I could not play the multiplayer because I don't have a second controller, nor do I have someone that has an Xbox One that would want to play Ryse with me online. So to start off with visuals, Crytek, the main developer of the game along with Microsoft Studios, has been notorious for making beautiful games. They made the Crysis series 1 through 3, which were beautiful games, some of the best looking games of last generation. They also made Far Cry 1, which I don't know much about the Far Cry. I know a little bit about the Far Cry series, sorry, but Far Cry 1 I don't know anything about. They have their own engines, so they don't run on Unreal. They don't run on your fighting engines and stuff like that. They don't run on Ubisoft's Anvil Next engine, but they run on the Cry engine, which they have made in its three iterations of that engine, and they made the Cry 3 engine for Crysis 3, and now upped it with the processing power of the Xbox and PlayStation 4 if they ever decide to make a PlayStation game, which I would imagine that they are, seeing as how they could do Crysis or they can do other games like that. So obviously the visuals are probably some of the best that we're going to see within this first year of new IPs, and bringing up like the Tomb Raider coming over with a definitive edition, the Rayman Legends being re-upped for the newer consoles. I would say until we see like the Division or the Order 1886, both of which are being rumored to be delayed, but some of those are the ones that I think are going to push it more than what Ryse has. Ryse, as of right now, is the most beautiful game that I've seen on these new consoles. And just to put it out there, I'm not going to say next gen anymore. I'm going to say new consoles because, they're 2 months old now. So, yeah, they're not next gen anymore. They are current gen. They are, we'll refer to as the 360 and the PS3 as last gen from here on out. On this channel anyway. So yes, visuals is going to get, big A+ for me on this, just because Crytek knows what they're doing with that. Next is gameplay. Looking at other reviews before I did this, IGN gave it a 6.8. The big doc from IGN was the gameplay, because the gameplay got stale towards the middle. I also pulled the Metacritic score, which was a 60. I kind of disagree, because I think if you don't, buy the upgrades right away, I guess I'm moving this way. If you don't buy the upgrades right away, you get more out of the combat. Like for me, I progressively bought the combat upgrades and the health upgrades and the focus upgrades, so the combat never really got stale, because I was getting more and more in new animations throughout the game, and just really, I mean, for many of you guys who have played Batman, it was very Batman-esque, and then it was more it felt more like an Assassin's Creed, because you would counter, like you would block or you would break their stance so you can hack and slash. So yeah, gameplay never really got old, and then they would break it up with like the connect functions. And just to give you guys a little bit of background about about Ryse, is Ryse was supposed to be a complete connect based game. Like you're standing up, it was a connect demo when it was first announced, like voice, motion, everything, the whole shebang. Ryse was gonna be it. It was gonna be this is what you were gonna buy Connect for, and ultimately what they left in the game with like being able to say like fire volley or archers and stuff like that really helped, because you can be sitting there like in a battle and the voice clip would, or the pop would come up to say fire volley, and you're raining down arrows on your enemies, or you're shooting boulders, flame rocks, everything at your enemies. So it was a nice little breakup of like, it was almost a help. And we don't have this big connect game towards the core gamers yet, I should say. They're trying. Failed so far with that, but anyway, it was really nice, like just like what they've done, what they did with it. I heard games like Dead Rising has worked with the Kinect now too. But other than that, like the gameplay, like the Roman strategy, you break up into 8x8 blocks, and that's your unit, and you would march into battle into that 8x8 block, and everyone would have their shield. If you're on the edge, you would hold edge, and if you're in the middle, over the top, stuff like that, to protect your unit. And it was cool because you would get in there and you would command, like you would walk, then you would throw your spears, and you would throw your you would block when arrows come at you and everything. So it was really good. It was a really good change of pace. Like the game never really, I mean, as I went along, it was kind of like I would hack and slash, and then a connect thing would come up. I would hack and slash some more, and now I got to work with the unit. So it was really cool. So the gameplay really never got old for me. Like actually, it was very adventurous in a way. So yeah, I mean, I want to see Crytek experiment more, I guess, with gameplay features where maybe they don't give you this huge like library of moves right away, which is kind of what they did. They kind of gave you this big library of moves to do, and I don't know. You almost seemed overpowering over your enemies, and like as enemies came along, like obviously you have your big brutes, and then you have your bosses and etc. And you almost still no matter what happened, you seemed overpowering. You seemed overpowered. I don't know. That's good sometimes. That, I mean, obviously when you face like a grunt, you just want to be able to take them out, 2 hits and be done with it. And then a boss you want to take a good 15 minutes to beat. And sometimes it was easy just to sit back and beat these little bosses. And there was one big boss, and that was it. So I mean, Crytek knows what they're doing. I'm not questioning Crytek. I just want to see them experiment more. Go out and go beyond and above what they usually do. Next, I want to talk about story. This is where everyone gave points, and I agree. I mean, granted, at the heart, Ryse is a revenge story. We all know the revenge story. AC2 is a big revenge game. But this one was really interesting because all he wanted to do was kill, and that's it. And there came a point in the story where he was just done. He didn't want to kill anymore. And then he was pushed more and more and more. His generals kept like, okay, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. And eventually he just got fed up and he snapped. So, not to spoil it, but the story, probably one of the best I played maybe since AC2, maybe even Batman. One of the best stories in Last of Us. Some of the best stories since then, like just at the heart of it. And they didn't need to do a traditional 20-hour story. They never envisioned it to be a 20-hour story. It was a good 9 to 10 hour story, and that's what really did well with me. Like it resonated well with me. The replay value is really high because your first playthrough you can't unlock everything. You can't find everything because usually this was almost like Last of Us where you were on rails basically. Like you have your objective, go to your objective. Well, little did I know about halfway through the story that there was collectibles, and then you had to find the collectibles. Well, now if I ever wanted to get the achievement for it, then you got to find the collectibles. So that's the replay value. And then I'm sorry, you can get like more and more upgrades. You can get more combos. You can get better finishing moves. So yeah, replay value is moderately to high. But I would say after 2 playthroughs, it's probably not worth your time until maybe a year or 2 down the road. You want to sit back and just replay it, just to refresh the story. So just to recap this, the visuals is always obviously the high point of this game. The gameplay kind of in the middle. I enjoyed it more than most people did. The story is right up there with the visuals as a high point, and then the replay value is there for 1 to 2 plays, and then a third time maybe down the road in the future. So overall, on the 20-point scale, I am giving it an 8.2. Yeah, I know. Don't hate me on this one, internet, but I really do think it deserves an 8.2. One of the better launch games. Um, I do have Forza. I like it, but I'm not enjoying it as much as I did Ryse. And then, of course, I have AC4, which I'm in love with. But I'm giving Ryse Son of Rome an 8.2. That's it. So now I need y'all's opinion. I want to know. I got these other 2 games for Christmas, and I want to know which one you guys want me to review next. Of course, after I beat them both, or after I beat the second one. First, I have Pokemon Y. I want to know. I just recently beat this, and I'm still working on it because obviously, if any of y'all have ever played a Pokemon game, you know that there is endless amounts of stuff to do even after you beat the game. So that's option 1, and option 2 is AC4 for the Xbox One. Obviously, I have beaten it already on the Xbox 360, so I am currently in the works of beating it again and doing more in it, like beating the legendary ships, upgrading the Jackdaw all the way through it. So let me know what you guys want. Do you want Pokemon Y? Do you want AC4? Or is like a game like Forza? Or I did just recently buy Zelda Ocarina of Time for the 3DS. So let me know what you guys want. Maybe I can look into buying the games if it's reasonable. I am looking at buying the Tomb Raider Definitive Edition here soon. And more stuff to come soon, hopefully, about the games I plan on buying. So until our next review, this will be our first in the review series. This is Justin Dalton signing off. See you guys in the next casting hour.